very DIY here. Coming at you with a new interesting video. With as you can see, we have we have a little old school Bluetooth speaker here. Maybe not old school, but it's old. We have a radio right here. And we got switching power supply. You can see some right there. Right there. This is a video about more like what you can do with salvaged items, I guess, or items that kind of aren't working right in one sense, in a very specific sense actually, and for some other reason or another, the battery is going bad, or you can't replace it, or you just don't want to be using batteries anymore with these kinds of devices. So let's start with a story here with this Bluetooth speaker. It's Blackweb, the probably Walmart brand, what most people know that is. This I got it in 2016, and I think it might have been 2017. The date code says 12/16, so I'm guessing that's December of 2016. So early 2017, whatever. I had been using this, wirelessly, of course. Charged it every so often. It was good. It suited my needs, except when I dropped it a few times, which is totally my fault. Wasn't built to take falls, so the speaker wire inside it disconnected it because I opened it up to check it out, and of course I removed the battery before I really touched anything. I didn't want to mess it up. So time went on, and I left it on my desk, and before I knew it, I don't know what the hell happened to the battery. It was gone. I was like, where the hell is this battery? I soldered the wire back on, finally, after for forever. I could not find that battery for the life of me, so I checked the voltage on the bottom of it, and I was like, you know what, let's see, 5 watts, 5 volts DC. So I figured that I just did my little calculations, and I came to the conclusion that, okay, so 5 volts right there. I can use this switching power supply, which is, let me see right here. It's a switching power supply, outputs 5 volts, and it puts out 1.5 amps, or 1500 milliamps. And it's one of those universal ones. It's 100 to 240 volts, can switch between the two frequencies, 50 hertz, 60 hertz. And the input it takes is about 200 milliamps. So yeah, it's a pretty low draw, but it can handle a pretty good amount of current that this thing would require, given all the math stuff that I did. Because I want to be sure if I put it on this thing that it wouldn't screw up or whatever. And sure enough, I drilled a hole in the back, put the wire where the battery terminals were. I made sure I measured the polarity on the wire here. Make sure I had my right positive and the negative in the right places, and so I soldered them directly to where the terminals were. It was just 2 of them sticking out. I soldered one wire on the other, and likewise with the other. And of course I put a little underwriter's knot in there so it can't get pulled out accidentally. Because sometimes you can judge the wire by the markings, kind of like how black hot, white neutral, basic stuff like that. Except in this case we have a striped wire, which has little black stripes on it. Can't really see them, they're actually light gray. And then there's one that has the words on them, and the lettering. And of course when we deal with wires in AC, always the one with the lettering is always the one that's going to be the hot wire, or it should be. And then the one that's striped, or the the white one, the one that's ribbed, that'll be depending on how the wire is, Anyway, there's conventions for the wires, and AC usually follows a strict convention for that. DC not so much, because apparently sometimes the striped one is the positive, and sometimes it's negative, it's switched around, and so it's good to measure that with your multimeter, because it can tell you, of course, your positive and negative when you measure. So if you get negative voltage, you screwed up your polarity, and you don't want to screw up polarity when you put it in the first time, of course, because you'll mess it up. And yeah, so anyway, I made sure that the power adapter was right for this product, and sure enough it is. And I can even demonstrate, as you'll see now.
Welcome.
And you can see it functions just fine.
Waiting to connect.
And
to
I don't get
Bluetooth
any
device.
problems with it, with interference from the wire. I don't get problems with that, which is good. And so then we move on to our other, how do you say it? Our radio here, with the AM/FM band, The one that I worked on in season 4, I believe it was probably like the second episode, I believe, because I was looking at it earlier today just so I can remember that. And yeah, it's takes four batteries, 4 AA batteries, the 1.5 volts, so that's about 6 volts. So I made sure, you know, I had an appropriate power supply for this too. And again, like, it's funny because these are salvaged. Like, I got these like at thrift stores or wherever, or I found them. And this one actually goes to like a Leapfrog tablet or something. It just happened to be the right kind that I needed because of the voltage and the switching ability. Also, you know, it's nice working with the one that has a separate wire. You know, has your positive and negative, not the center positive and then the outer sheath is like negative. Again, why I picked this one. This is like from something called Kids 2. I looked it up and it's like it's an adapter for like a little automatic baby rocking station. So that's what that's used for. And it's also a switching power supply. It's very much like this one. It switches between frequencies and it switches between an amount of voltages, like 100 to 240 volts, which is cool. And it even has like, you can even take that off, you know, so you can switch off, how do you say it? You can switch your plug to suit whatever country you're in. And this one had a different measurement of positive and negative on its wire, so, you know, I made sure about that before I disconnected the wire that went to the battery terminals, because they were always leaking and shit, and I hate dealing with that. I always forget about it, and there's all sorts of corrosion and shit in there, and I just hated dealing with the batteries. And I have other ways of listening to the radio if I need batteries. You know, it just became such a pain in the ass because I would forget it. So anyway, we'll let this asshole, you know, speed his way down real quick. So he had his little cameo of being an asshole. And yeah, I just drilled a little hole in the back right there to put the wire, made an underwriter's knot, connected the wires directly to the board, positive to the positive, you know, soldered it, negative to the negative, soldered it. And this is 6 volts, and the amount takes about, it's like 700 milliamps, so like 0.7 amps that it can handle of current. It could be done if you have to do that. And then I also have this, which is just a fun thing. This is another one I picked up at the thrift store. And yeah, because I got this off eBay. I got this from a thrift store. This is 24 volts. A switching power supply, very much like the other ones. 100, 240 volts, 50 to 60 hertz. It has a nice output of 410 milliamps, so 0.4 amps, 24 volts. I just use it for like really low current stuff, and I even hooked it up to the nice little 4 watt 120 volt lamp, just for the heck of it, and I'll show you right now. Okay, as you can see, we have the little 4 watt 120 volts AC lamp right there, and it's hooked up to the switching power supply. And let's power it on, just so you can see the beautiful glow that it makes. Yeah. It makes a nice little glow. Yeah, look at that. I even have an insulator here that I like to play with. Put it on here right quick. So yeah, it can be like a decorative piece or something like that. I'm really curious to see what it would look like at 48 volts. So I'll probably end up finding something like that to power it with. And yeah, it's just an alternate way of powering something just for fun. Okay. Anyhow, that's just a video on powering things a different way. But powering them, you know, properly. You know, using the correct voltage, because that's the one thing that matters the most, and then making sure the current fits the device. But yeah, just different ways of powering things. So just make sure that the voltage fits, current fits, and you're good. Well, until next time, have a great day.
Today on News Radio 1200 WOAI.
This report is sponsored
Also forgot
by
to show you that
HEB.
yes, the
In a recent
radio does
survey,
work.
HEB was rated #1 in meat quality. HEB also offers free
And there
curbside
it
pickup
is.
on that delicious, top quality meat. No wonder HEB stands for Here Everything's Better.